What's up, everybody? I'm Gio, and welcome back to Carvalho Creations, where I show you how to make awesome props and projects of your own. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I transformed an old plastic cauldron, some PVC pipe, and expanding foam into this wicked little pumpkin character sitting next to me. Now, I can tell you guys are already getting in that Halloween spirit. So without any further ado, let's get creating. Go wild. Okay, everyone, so today we're making like a pumpkin step spook, right? So if you guys understand the premise of a step spook, it's like a little cloaked ghoul or costume character that you put some monster mud on or even cement and have it sitting on your porch for the trick-or-treaters to come and see. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. We're definitely gonna be using monster mud for this, so that's one thing on our material list. But also I wanted to do like a little creepy pumpkin character that can sit, that you can add a light to the inside of to help decorate your decor for Halloween. So what you're gonna be needing is we're gonna be using some upholstery foam. We're gonna be needing some wire, doesn't really matter the gauge. Some great stuff. This is gonna kind of hold all our stuff in place. We're gonna be using some 1/2-inch PVC pipe. Doesn't have to be 1/2 inch, it can be whatever size really to fit your character. And I'm gonna be using this old plastic cauldron that I picked up a couple years ago, and I wanted to repurpose it. It's too small for the props that I like to do for like a big witch or something like that. So I thought it'd be the perfect size to carve out a jack-o'-lantern face and then make a little character with legs using the PVC and then monster mudding everything at the end. So I might be using some foam clay so we can do a little more sculpture to the face and make him look a little creepy and evil, or do some fingertips and toes or something like that. But we'll see. So also too, a heat gun just to bend your PVC in place. But this is going to be a really cool video. I hope you guys are excited for this one, because I know I am. So why don't we go ahead and get ready to go wild. All right, to start off our video today, I'm just taking some white acrylic paint and marking in the facial features I want for the pumpkin. Keeping this really simple. This is just to get the overall look. And then I'll take my rotary tool here in a second and carve this out. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you are using like a plastic cauldron like this, make sure that yours is thick enough to where when you carve away some of these the plastic pieces for the face, it doesn't mess up your structure. Now, my structure got a tiny bit weaker, but this cauldron was pretty thick, the plastic on it, so I was good. So when you're doing that, just make sure you got a thick enough cauldron to support the structure that you're going to work with. Right here, I'm just taking my heat gun and bending some PVC pipe. I cut it at about 16 inches. These are going to be for the legs. And I wanted the position to be like he's taking a step. So you'll see it in the final result here. But I'm just taking my heat gun, I'm heating up the area, I'm bending it the way I want, and then I'm taking my water and the spray bottle and just cooling it down rapidly so it'll keep its shape. And here I'm marking the holes for my legs to fit in. And when I take my rotary tool and cut this out, I'm actually carving out a little bit thinner, so the pipe is really stuck in there. And then I'm going to go ahead with a hot glue gun and glue this, and that's just a placeholder to keep them structurally sound until I start doing the foam, and then that dries. So this is just to keep everything in place. So to do the top of the cauldron itself, to create that full pumpkin illusion, I went ahead and cut some styrofoam sheets to fit over the top, and then I'm using my great stuff here just to seal everything. Now I'm going around the actual features of the face as well, because I just want a little more material there so I can go back in and carve later on, and it'll give me a nice basis to work off of when I start to do the actual sculpture around the mouth and the eyebrows and nose. This is great stuff, man. When you're using it, it really does wonders. Here I'm just taking it and gluing the foam right over the top. It works perfectly for this character. Okay, so a couple things. Now, like most projects I do for you guys here, this is the first time I'm attempting this kind of character, but I have an overall rough idea of how to do this, so I should be able to get it done for you pretty right. But a couple things I'm learning along the way is this guy, the foam really works well to hold it and keep it structurally sound. I like that. But I noticed that he's not going to stand up by himself unless he has something on his feet to give a little more surface area to hold himself up. So I'm probably going to cut some more styrofoam for the feet itself. And as far as the upholstery foam, originally I was going to set the upholstery foam around and then tie a string to create those ridges you see in the pumpkin skin normally. I don't think I need to do that. I'm probably just going to keep using great stuff and create ridges myself, and then after everything is dry, I'll go ahead and carve and shape this just with a razor blade or maybe a sander to get the overall idea. I know I'm going to do some foam carving here, so I'm going to cut a lot of this down. I just wanted to give a little more structure to the face to give me a basis to work off of, and then we're going to go ahead and use more of this PVC to create the arms and the hands and stuff. So I'm probably going to also add a little bit of wire to the feet to create toes that I can sculpt over, and then as well to the fingers. So I just wanted to give you a little breakdown, I should say, of what's going on and where we're at in the actual build itself. But it's going to be really cool when it's done. I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit more. Also too, I'm going to be adding a stem, and I want more of a whimsical pumpkin. So I'll probably be adding like a little twist to the stem with the monster mud at the end. But let's get back to the video. All right, so here I'm just carving some scrap pieces that I'm going to use for the feet itself. I need a little more surface area to work with, so I'm going to go ahead and press the PVC pipe into the styrofoam, and then I'll go ahead and grade stuff that into place as well. And these are for the arms, and I wanted, like I said, a walking character, so I bent the elbows and kind of put them into position the same way I did the feet, and I add the hot glue. Just to keep that pose going. Now for the fingers here, I just drilled some holes with an 1/8 inch bit, and I ran my wire through it, and then I'll go ahead and put the extended wire into the chuck of my drill and drill that in to make a tight wound finger. And then I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that into place as well. And that way I can create like a little hand that's attached to the PVC, so when I go to spray my grade stuff over the top, it has something to grip onto. Now this grade stuff is pretty amazing. Like, I'm going to be using this a lot in the future. So if you guys like this character, please let me know down in the comment section. I'll be making a lot more characters with this great stuff. It really is super lightweight, but it's structurally sound, so I can make some really cool poses. And that's kind of the biggest thing I was going for with this guy, is to make a cool pose for him to where he looks like he's mid-stride. And, you know, the great stuff actually sticks really well to the plastic as well. I was a little bit worried. I wasn't sure if that was going to work, but it came out really great. Here I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and cutting away some of the excess amount of foam that got into the eyes and stuff. I want to keep those holes as big as possible, so when I put my light source at the end, you're going to be able to see that. Now the carving, you know, you just take your time. I'm not too worried about like a lot of detail, because we're going to go back in with the monster mud here in a second and really get that overall skin of the pumpkin. I just wanted to make sure I had everything carved away and gave myself a nice basis to start with. Okay, so now that our foam is all dry and carved, and after a lot of carving, I was able to get some of those ridges in. Now, a lot of the wrinkles I'm going to get from the actual monster mud itself, but I just wanted to give you guys a little detailed look. Now, he looks a little Kool-Aid man right now. I see that. He's going to be transformed really soon. So next step we're going to be doing is the first layer of monster mud. And because this guy is so small, I'm going to be using small strips of material to go over him to get into all those little grooves and really sell the character. Like typically on a bigger project, I'd use large sheets, but this is such a small character, I want to make sure I use small strips. And then we're going to even use like thinner strips, maybe 1.5 to 2-inch strips, and then I'm going to bind the arms and legs to make them look like roots. That's the idea anyway. So next step is monster mud, but there's our little pumpkin man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, to do the monster mud here, I pre-cut all my pieces of material before I started with this process. I knew roughly the sizes I needed, so if you have an idea, when you're going to do this monster mud stuff, make sure you pre-cut everything ahead of time, because once you get started, it's a mess. And if you're trying to sit there with scissors and cut everything while you go, I'm telling you, it's not going to work out. It's going to give you a lot of issues. So just have your stuff pre-cut. Place everything on there. Now, if you saturate that material enough, it'll stick to almost any surface. So even the underside of this pumpkin, where I thought maybe it would end up hanging and stuff like that, Once I saturated the material, it really stuck like glue, so it was perfect. So you just take your time, you work it into all the crevices, and what I'm doing here is trying to keep that form looking really nice, at the same time creating that really cool skin that you see. You'll see it in a second here once everything is dried. And then for the legs, I'm taking thinner pieces and I'm wrapping them around each other in like a spiral form around the arms and legs, and that's just to create like this vine look. I wanted the pumpkin guy to feel like he was grown out of the ground and then came to life. Really take your time also and make sure you cover every single piece of that foam, so this stuff is really weatherproof and it'll last you a long time. The monster mud is great for doing that. I've had props that are outside. If you guys remember my spooky tree, that is still outside. All right, so now that our little pumpkin man is all monster mud and he's just about dry, I'm gonna let him sit for another day to dry. It's been about 24 hours so far, but he's hard enough that I can go ahead and use my foam clay and sculpt over the top. Now, once the foam clay dries, I'm gonna go ahead and paint on another coat of monster mud because I want to seal that foam. I want to make sure it's as weatherproof as possible because I want it to sit outside and not get damaged in the rain or the sun, you know, from being exposed too long. So we're going to do another coat of monster mud over the foam clay once it's dry. But for the foam clay, I'm just going to be accentuating some of the features in the face, maybe give him a more whimsical look in the corners of his mouth and more of a brow, an angry brow. So this is going to be really cool, but this step is all done. So let's get over to that sculpt. Okay, to start off the sculpture here, I'm really not worried about doing too much detail. It's really just about accentuating some of the facial features here because I wanted to look a little more character to the actual design. I ended up putting a little bit of wire in the mouth to create a basis for me to work my foam over the teeth. So I just glued them to the inside with hot glue. That way I can put my foam right over the wire to create those teeth that come out. And again, I wanted this character to feel very whimsical, so you can see where I added the roots around his wrist and arms and also the top of the stem as well. And here I'm just adding a little more lip. I felt like it needed a bottom lip on the character to really stand out. In a second here, I'm just going to be brushing on monster mud. I'm not using any material over the foam. I just wanted to make sure I give myself a thick layer of monster mud that I paint on. So when it dries, it seals all the cracks. I don't want any moisture to get underneath the foam at all. So I made sure to take my time and brush the monster mud into every little detail of this face. You guys like these monster mud creations? I can definitely do a lot more of these. If you have any ideas, please let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to bring it to life for you. I did let this guy sit for about 48 hours to make sure that everything was completely dry before I started my painting process also. Just to make sure that everything is completely coated and I had everything dry before I started actually putting paint on this. So you can paint this guy by hand. I'm spraying it here. It's going to take you a long time, but I've done plenty of characters in the past where I hand painted them. It's just a little more tedious, but man, if you have an air sprayer, just do that. So the way I do my painting process is I like to start with a medium tone and then work in the darks and then work in the highlights. So I got my base coat of orange down and now I'm just kind of airbrushing in the darker tone browns, greens, things like that to kind of start to pop out all the features and details we put in this guy. This is kind of the process I use for all of my characters. So if you've been following me for a while, you've seen me do a lot of these paint jobs. I don't really talk about them in detail. So here I thought I would. Now here, since I already got the darks in, now I'm going over the highlights. And I'm looking at any area that's raised that I think is going to catch more light. That's where I'll go in with more of a yellowish orange color to pop that out. And you can see it already transform right before your eyes to create that depth in the character that I'm looking for. If you guys haven't tried airbrushing, it's super easy. If you guys want me to make a video where I talk about airbrushing and how I set up my airbrushing, what paints I use, things like that, Please let me know down in the comment section below. I'll go ahead and do a video explaining the airbrush techniques and all that thing, everything as well. It's very simple. It's actually not as hard as it may seem, and it gives it such a cool, like, finished look at the end too. Like you bought this factory at a store or something like that. So I love airbrushing. Now, don't get me wrong, there's things that you can't do with the airbrush that you need to do it by hand, but to get the overall look, airbrushing is the key. It's the ticket. It's a game changer. Right here, I'm just spraying over those vines I put in so they pop out over the brown and you can see them. I'm trying to highlight all the work that I put into the sculpting of it and putting this guy together to really sell this character. And here I'm just taking like a light yellow / beige color to get inside the mouth and the teeth so it looks like an actual jack-o'-lantern. And here I'm using my clear coat. This is just a semi-gloss clear coat. It's rated for outdoor, so spar urethane. I use this on all my projects. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. I love making these Monster Mud characters, so if you guys want to see more, let me know. But until next time, happy Halloween. You know, expanding foam is quickly becoming one of my favorite materials to use. It's super versatile and it helps me to create characters just as cool as this. So expect to be seeing more great stuff featured in our future videos. If you guys have any questions about today's tutorial, feel free to write me down in the comment section below and let's have a little chat. Like this video and share it with your friends as well, because if you're not doing that, let's face it, you're being stingy. But until next time, keep building things, stay creative, and don't forget to go wild. I'm Gio from Carvalho Creations, and I'll see you next time.